Hi guys. All right. So, what we're doing today is we are going to review. We're going to go over actually practicing graphing lines, as you can see. I'm going to put up a schedule for you. This is the next 2 weeks in math class. We're going to graph lines today. Tuesday and Wednesday, we're going to do something called systems, and that's where we're going to graph two lines and see where they intersect and stuff. On Thursday, you're going to have a homework and vocab day. Friday, you're going to do a review sheet. Monday, we're going to go over that review sheet. And on Tuesday, you're going to take a test over slope, y-intercept, equations, graphs, tables, all of it. What we've been spending the last 4 weeks on. Wednesday before Christmas break, we're going to do a replace a grade. This, whatever you make on this, will replace your lowest daily grade. This is going to be a little bit challenging for some of y'all. Because you're going to have to either print it out and write on it, or you're going to have to get a little creative on it. So I'll talk to you about that in just a little bit. Thursday, we'll spend some time doing test corrections if people need it. I'm predicting I might have some of you who struggle, especially I might have a couple in-class people that I'm a little worried about. And then on Friday, the half day, we're going to do a movie. There's still going to be a warm-up that day, but it's really important that we, and that you still get that warm-up, but then we're going to just, it's a half day here at school, so we're just going to watch a movie. But again, anybody who needs to work on these two things will also have time on Friday. All right, so we are actually going to be graphing lines today, graphing lines Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then next Wednesday and on the test. So it is going to be important that you either are able to print, able to pick up copies, or that you have graph paper. You're going to have one of those three things. Now, if you want to pick up the papers, we have two different systems for that. You can either A, mom or dad can come up with a mask and come to the front office, and there will be a folder up there with your name on it with the papers in it. You need to let me know that's what you're going to do, if that's possible. Or we have a picnic table out front of the school, and what I can do is put a folder with your papers and your name on it, and I'll just leave it there. And anytime in the evening, you can come up there when there's nobody else on campus, so you're not going to run into anybody, catch anything, and you can pick it up. I'll even be sure, if you want, I will even make sure I wear gloves if you want to while preparing this stuff. Just let me know. It's easier to have the copies, I'm not going to lie. It's definitely easier. So if you have a way of printing them or getting the copies, that's way easier. I wish I had a different system for this, a better system, but that's all I have right now. But this is the next 2 weeks. Okay, so for today's lesson, what you need is a pencil. You will notice I'm using a mechanical pencil. When we graph things, mechanical pencils definitely work better because it makes the line smaller, and so it's a lot easier to control that line. It's a lot easier for it to be accurate, so forth. You're also going to need a ruler or a straight edge. I know you can't really see my ruler. If you don't have a ruler, it's okay. I used index card, I think, in my algebra videos all last week. I use the edge of an index card, use the edge of a binder, use the edge of anything that's straight, because you're going to want your lines to be straight. I'm requiring my in-class kids to use a ruler or a straight edge, and I'm requiring the same thing for you. All right, so we're going to start by reviewing in our journal. We haven't added it to our journal for a while because we've spent a lot of time reviewing it. So we're going to start on page 26 because what we're doing today is you've matched graphs, you've looked at a graph and found the slope and found the y-intercept, but what you haven't done is taken an equation and actually graphed it. Now, I've been telling you for weeks you were going to need graph paper, and today is definitely that day that you need graph paper. So you're going to graph, we're going to start at our y-intercept. We're going to start at where it crossed. So if we remember, our y-intercept is at plus or minus. So for this one, we would have started at the plus 5. So we would have started at the plus 5. And then we would use our slope, which is our m, to do a rise over run. This is on page 27. So we would start at that y-intercept, and then we would go down 3/4, or whatever our slope was. All right, so this is the sheet we're using today. We will be, for in class, they're getting this, and then they're going to just fold it, and we're going to glue it inside our journal like this on page 31. If you cannot print this paper and are not going to come pick it up from me, that's okay. But what you need is then graph paper, and you're going to cut out these graphs and either glue them in your journal or glue them on a piece of paper and then fold it up. Okay, hope all that makes sense. All right, so we're going to start on this. So we're going to start with our equation. We have y equals 1/3 x plus 3. So this is going to be y equals mx plus b. Our m is our slope, so whatever number is in front of that x is my slope, so 1/3. And this 3 is my b, so that's my y-intercept. Okay? I like how someone put that my slope is my m, which means that we're going to move, while my y-intercept is my b, and this is where we're going to begin. Okay? So I'm going to begin at the 3. So I'm going to go to my y, and I'm going to put a dot at the 3. Now I want the dot to be big enough where I can see it. Okay? And I'm sorry, there's a little bit of a glare. I can actually probably zoom in and turn it a little bit, and that'll help with the glare. Yeah, that's a little better. All right, so we all began at that 3 on the y-axis. From here, we're going to move. So this 1/3, we got to remember, is rise over run. So we're going to start at this point, sorry, and we are going to rise 1. So I'm going to rise 1 and run 3. So I'm going to rise 1 and run 1, 2, 3 and put a dot. So I went up 1 and right 3. So I put myself a little note up here. I like to do little bubbles in my notes. Okay. Up is positive. Down is negative. To the right is positive. Always think of it, it's a positive thing to do right, the right thing, while going left is a negative. So we went up 1 and over 3 because they're both positives. Now, I ran out of room. I can't go anymore. I don't have room to put that 3rd dot. I could put it off the grid a little bit. So I also need to do the reverse of that. So I went up 1, so now I'm going to go down 1. And I went to the right 3, so the opposite of that's to the left 3. 1, 2, 3. Down 1 over 3. Couldn't fit it. So I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to line up the first point. Let's see if it lines up with my 3rd, and I'm going to draw it. And I do want my line to cover the whole graph. It's important to see where our graph is going and where it came from, and so extend it all the way. You do add arrows to both ends. All right, let's look at number 2. So if you're doing this on grid paper, you're going to want to put number 2. You're going to want to number that it's number 2. You're going to want to write this equation down. All right, so I have y equals mx plus b. My m is my slope, which is 3/2. My b is 3, and I'm going to put y-intercept. I'm going to be sure to put b under it. One thing I don't like about this page is it did not have b labeled. So remember, B is where we begin. So I'm going to begin at my 3, just like we did on the last one. 1, 2, 3. Put a good strong dot. And I'm going to do my slope. So rise over run. So my 3 is positive, so I'm going to go up 3. And my 2 is positive, so I'm going to go to the right 2. So I'm going to go up 3, which is going to take me off, but I'm going to go ahead and keep going with that. 1, 2, and put a dot kind of off of it a little bit. If you want to extend it out a little bit, you can. So you can see it. Extend the grid a little bit. And we're going to do the reverse of that. So we went up 3, so now we're going to go back to our original. We're going to go down 3. 1, 2, 3. And I went to the right 2, so I'm going to go left 2. And it looks like I can do that again. So I'm going to go down 3. 1, 2, 3. Left 2. Okay. We want to fill up our graph, so I always make sure to have dots that'll help me fill up my graph. I'll line up these 2 points. Since my one that's out there is kind of an estimate, and there's our graph. Notice my slope is positive, so my graph was positive. And to know that it's positive, if I drag my pencil across it, it's going up, so that's positive. Or if you write your name on it, so I'm going to pretend to write my name on this, you can see I'm writing my name up, so it's positive. All right, let's go on to number 3. All right, number 3. We have y equals mx plus b. So if I look, there's nothing except for a negative. So I've had lots of students who have just told me, okay, my slope must be negative. Well, that's right, it's going to be negative, but I need a number. I need a number for it to be. And I've had some people tell me negative x, but that's not true either, because our variable, that x, is not our slope. Our slope is the number in front of it, which is an imaginary 1. So our slope is negative 1. Our b is 4. Again, I'm going to label this y-intercept as b, because it's important that we remember that that's our letter b. So we're going to start at 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Put a good strong dot. By a good strong dot is, I'll show you on my next dot what I mean by a weak dot. Maybe that'll help. So if I notice, rise and run is in fraction form. This is not a fraction. So I need to put it into a fraction. And to put a number in fraction, I just stick it over 1. So I have a rise of negative 1 and a run of 1. So I'm going to go down 1 and right 1. Down because that was a negative. So I'm going to come here. I'm going to go down 1, right 1. Oh, I'm going to show you a weak point. Down 1, right 1. That's a weak point. Why is that a weak point? Because you can't see it. You might, if you looked really close, looked really clear, but you want a nice strong point. You want it to be centered. Think of it as trying to shoot a bullseye. Down 1, right 1. Down 1, right 1. Down 1, right 1. I'm going to go till I can't anymore. Use my ruler or straight edge to draw my line. It's a negative slope, went down. All right, let's move on to number 4. All right, so y equals mx plus b. My m is negative 3/4. Yay, it's already in fraction. So negative, you can see it's negative 3/4. So let's talk about that really briefly. That negative 3/4 looks like this, but it could also look like this, or it could also look like this. All three of those are equal to each other. All three of them are going to graph the same. They're all going to be the same concept. So whether you put it on top or on bottom, you can't put it on both, or out front, which I know I didn't do a great job at putting that one out front. It's all the same. So I usually just assign it to my top or my bottom. My B was a 4. Begin at 4. So this negative 3 is going to tell me to go down 3 and to the right 4. So down 3, 1, 2, 3, to the right 4, 2, 3, 4. And I'm not going to be able to fit any more points, because if I go down 3, great, but I can't go to the right 4. Alright, and I can't go backwards because I don't have much up there. So I'm just going to have 2 dots. You really only truly need 2 to draw a graph, though it's nice to have more than that because it's a little more easier to connect dots. Alright, let's look at number 5. Y equals mx plus b. My m is 1/3. My b is 4, but remember to bring your negative with you. Don't forget the negative. Oh, on that last one I did not label that y-intercept was b, so let's be sure we write that below it. So I'm going to write it below it on this one. It's my b, it's where I'm going to begin. So I'm going to begin at my negative 4, put a good strong dot. I'm going to rise over run. So I'm going to go up 1 and to the right 3. So up 1 over 3, 1, 2, 3. If you want to put one right off, you can, because we don't have room for another one. We're going to try the reverse of it. So we went up 1, so let's go down 1. We went to the right 3, so let's go to the left 3. 1, 2, 3. And you'll notice that that dot's going to line right up with my line. Ooh, sorry, I got to tilt my paper to draw this one. Sorry if that kind of messes with your mind a little bit. There we go. There we go. Alrighty. Hopefully we're not having too much fun with this because we've looked at this quite a bit. We just haven't actually done the sketching of them. Alright, y equals mx plus b. Y, so my m is negative 2. My b is positive 2. So I'm going to begin at that positive 2. Remember, if it's just a negative 2, I need to put it over 1 so that I can have a rise and run. So with a rise of negative 2, I'm going to go down 2 and to the right 1. So down 2 to the right 1. Now, some students in class were having this issue, so I'm going to address it here too. When it says down 2, I'm going from line to line. So 1 line, 2 line, and then over 1. Down 2 lines, over 1 line. Then I'm going to do the reverse. So we went down, so this time we're going to go up. 1, 2, over 1. Want to make sure it lines up with my line. If I didn't, then I probably did something wrong. Kind of connect to that. If I can get my ruler off of this table. Alright. Connect these dots. Very good. Alright, so for number 7, I want you to try it on your own. Okay, I want you to try it on your own. You're probably not going to be able to put, I think you should be able to put 1 dot. But I want you to go ahead and pause this video now. And I want you to try number 7 completely on your own. And I want you to push play when you have done it. Alright, hopefully you've already attempted this problem on your own. It's really important that we try problems on our own, that we don't just copy the teacher, because then when you do it on your own, you're not going to have someone to check it if you wait until do it till the homework time. So let's go ahead and look. Our slope, so we have y equals mx plus b. My slope is -6. My b is -3. I'm going to put that -6 over 1. So I'm going to start at my -3. I'm going to put a dot. And this -6 means down 6 and then to the right 1. But can I go down 6? Nope, I ran out of room. So I'm going to do the reverse. I'm going to go up 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I went to the right one, but this time I'm going to go to the left one. Good way to check it out is, this was a negative slope, so therefore my line should be going down. I mean, it's a very, very steep. You see, it's very steep, if you understand what I mean by steep. If you think of a mountain slope, that's a pretty steep mountain to climb. In algebra next year, y'all will talk about steepness of graphs and how this slope affects that steepness of the graph. All right, number 8, I want you to try on your own. So I want you to pause this video. I want you to try on your own, and when you're done, I want you to push play. All right, so hopefully you've tried this one on your own. So, and we're just checking it now. So my m is -2/5. My b is -2. So I'm going to start at -2. And this is my rise over run. So I'm going to go down 2 and to the right 5. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Put a dot. And I'm going to do the reverse of that. Up 2, 1, 2. And then I went to the right 5, so this time I'm going to go to the left 5. 1, 3, 4, 5. Okay, connect my dots. Negative slope. So it went down. Remember to put your arrows at the end. Make sure you're covering, going across the entire graph, filling up your graph if that concept makes sense, saying filling it up. The only example that this doesn't cover is what happens if I don't have a plus or a minus at the end. So if we remember, if we don't have a plus or a minus, then it's just +0. It's a direct variation, also called proportional. In high school, you call it direct variation, so you'll hear that word more in Algebra 1 next year. So if it doesn't have a plus or minus, you're just going to start at the origin. You'll just start at 0. And we will look at some examples of that when we, tomorrow and the next day, and Wednesday, when we look at doing multiple graphs. All right, as always, if you have questions, so those of you who printed it out, sorry. For those of you who printed this out, we're going to go to page 31 of our journal. And I'm just going to fold it in half like this. Some of my students, I'm sure, are going to want to fold it in fourths. And I'm going to glue it. I always glue my crease in towards my crease because then it opens the same direction as a book would. Okay, so I'm going to glue it in. If you did it on graph paper, then I would cut those grids out and glue them onto page 31 on the left and right. We're not going to put anything on the left because I knew some of you would need that space to glue your grids down. Alright, so opens like that. It's very nice. So if you copied it, just glue it in. If you did it on grid paper, you're going to want, if you did it all on the same grid paper, you can just fold it and put it in also. If you only did the graphs on grid paper, then you're going to want to cut those grids out, write the information next to it. But you need all 8 of these grids along with the notes that went with it, the y equals mx plus b, the rise and the run, all of that, all on page 31 of your journal. If you have any questions, please let me know. Send them my way. I hope you all have a great Monday. God bless you.